know, there are other times when this has been discussed, or you've discussed it yourself many times. Why is this that moment that people have referred to today in this country?
Well, I think there's more hope than there's been in many years because we've elected a federal government who actually is been talking about housing, investing in cities, addressing the absolute lack of support that's pervasive over decades now. So we've got a federal partner, and it was good to hear from the minister here. And we need to build his case. So among his cabinet and prime minister and all members of parliament, that there's strong support for investing in housing, and that's our job to do. And I want to just appreciate people in this room, the leadership here in Toronto. I know it's tested everyone's patience. It's been very difficult because we're preaching to the converted to a degree here, but we have to crank up the pressure. There are many competing forces for this. As Don said, making the business case for it is really important, as always. But we're basically in a humanitarian crisis here. It's a human rights issue when people are dying. This morning, there has to be a real sense of urgency. There has to be pressure applied so that we move the money, we write our checks to pay our taxes, and we have to make sure that money comes back as quickly as possible and is invested in helping people. Not only people get off the street, we have homelessness impacting cities right across the country now, and impacting small towns across Canada at a level that's never really been seen, and that's a piece that's the most acute, most urgent for us to deal with. But in Vancouver, we've now had a perfect storm, and it's a very difficult time for us. We've had global capital pour into our city, much as it's doing in other places like Toronto and across Canada, but we've had an economic boom that's part of that. People moving to Vancouver from all over the world to work. The innovation sector is booming as it is in Toronto, Waterloo, Kitchener. We've seen great growth, but that pressure on the housing world has been extraordinary, and it's forced us at City Hall to really focus on rental housing first and foremost, because owning is going to be almost impossible for the next generation. That's proving very difficult right now in Vancouver. Multi-million-dollar tear-down bungalows are kind of a joke online. It's not a joke. It's become very difficult, and every single family home now is now 3 units. We have secondary suites and laneway houses citywide approved in the last few years. We've picked up the pace on that level, but we've now had to take these next steps. We're looking at an empty homes tax. We know we have over 10,000 empty homes in Vancouver right now. So we want to be sure that people are just holding on to empty property. They either pay a lot of tax on it, or they turn it into rental. Get that back into we also we just announced measures on short-term rentals like Airbnb, and making sure that's regulated. And we've chosen a path that we're advancing now through council, where we enable it with principal residences. So people that want to help pay their mortgage, if you're living in your home, you can rent that out, short-term rentals, rooms, or if you go away for a month. But if you're doing it as a business, if you're taking something that could be a long-term rental and you're just renting it out like a hotel room, that's not okay anymore. We don't want to see that. So we're having to take what I think might have been considered drastic measures to deal with a near-zero vacancy rate, a real crisis for people to find any place to rent. People on middle incomes that can't find places to rent. We're having to dramatically increase the family housing that's required in all new developments and rezonings. We're pushing it up to 35% family housing, so we don't run out of family housing in Vancouver. It feels like across the board, the partnerships, the collaboration that is coming through from all this is heartening. Lots of great partnerships in the community land trust that's creating hundreds of units with a new model with co-ops and kind of self-sustaining financing at a larger scale. And really, we need to add another zero there. We need to dramatically increase the amount of housing that we're creating, whether it's rental, whether it has some rent geared to income, market that helps to subsidize those at lower rates. We have to make sure we're doing everything we possibly can, given this, and that goes from City Hall to our provinces, who all need to be at the table for this. It's good to hear Ontario stepping up more back into the game. Every province has got to do a lot more. So, we need a rallying cry as a country right now. As mayors, I think we're all happy to be part of that and make sure we do everything we can for particularly the people who need it the most in our cities. Thanks.
Thank you. Coming to you. As they say in the Bible, the first shall be last.